What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 30 Minutes of Hell. I am your host, Brandon Baker, joined by Joey Jackson and Matt Jackson, and the Hogs are still dancing.
Pig
Hey,
suey.
Joey!
Arkansas defeats Kansas in the first round of the tournament. Calipari takes down Bill Self. It is the first time since 2006 that Kansas has lost a first round matchup. Their disappointing season comes to a disappointing end. Arkansas's rough roller coaster of a season continues to bounce around. Even throughout this game, we were all bouncing back and forth, tiptoeing the edge of the cliff, trying to figure out if they were going to pull this win off or not. But they did. We're going to get into the details of it. But up next is a matchup with St. John's, currently ranked as the number one defensive team in the country, coached by none other than Rick Pitino, another former Calipari, or not, I'm sorry, another former Kentucky coach. So let's get into the details of this. The win over Kansas, like I said, back and forth all game. It was a great game to watch. Obviously, it was a lot more fun being on this side of it, being an Arkansas fan. But Jonas Adu is still playing at an all SEC level like he has been doing for a couple of weeks now. And I would be remiss if we did not start with him and just how, I mean, we don't win that game without him on either side of the ball, right? Like it's not just him being an all SEC level defender, it's him scoring 22 points to go along with a few rebounds and three steals and three blocks and shooting 50+% from the field. I mean, he's doing everything that they could ever ask him to do, and he's doing it with Big Z struggling. Big Z with injury, with matchups, whatever the case is. Big Z only plays 4 minutes. So having Adu available to do this, I mean, Arkansas's not where they are without him right now.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother-in-law today actually, and earlier on, before we knew that we were going to be in the tournament, he asked me my thoughts, and I told him that I still stand by this. I feel that we're a Sweet 16 team, and one of my call outs specifically was the way that Adu has stepped up. And we wouldn't be in this position without him. I I think it speaks a lot to just his mentality. It's so hard to go from being that level of a player last year and then battling injuries and having a rough start to the season and then coming in three-quarters of the way through and just exploding into that guy that we knew he could be, that he knew he could be. It's really cool to see. I'm so proud of him, so proud to see it. It makes me excited for him. And I know it's a relief off his back. Whenever you're that type of guy, and then you can't produce the way that you know you can, that's tough to get over. So super stoked to see how he's playing, and it makes me really excited for the next game.
Yeah, and just last pod, I was saying how it was going to depend on how Nelly and Adu played. And I was thinking defensively for Adu. I was expecting 20 points from him, but he is doing great. He has truly blown me away. I am hoping that we get the same thing next game. I think we're going to really need it. So keep it up. Keep up the defense too, because he did great defensively as well. I mean, Hunter Dickinson looked like he didn't even matter this entire game. So I love it. I think our bigs played phenomenal. They kept us in it.
Yeah, and getting a little ahead of myself, but just kind of looking ahead, St. John's doesn't have anybody bigger than 6'9". Still pretty big, a very good rebounder that St. John's has, but I feel like their core rotation is more wings and forwards, and I think that Adu and Brazil guys like that may be able to continue this streak of good play in the next game. We'll get into more detail on that here in a
I,
second, though.
I can't remember what the stat I saw from JC, but are we 4-1 whenever Brazil scores over 10, or 5-1 when Brazil scores over 10? And the one loss was that buzzer beater we had in the SEC tournament. So Brazil's really helping us out a lot too.
Golly, he kept me from going over the edge of that cliff last night. I mean, his rebounding alone, he had a possession with like three offensive rebounds.
Hmm.
It
He
was
was
he was carrying us. He was carrying us.
He was battling his butt off.
He is the reason I think that we won that game.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'm
I think they're 8-1 when he
eight
scores
and
10 or
one.
more points
That's
on the season,
crazy.
including I think maybe what JC might have tweeted that he scored 10 or more 6 times in the last 7 games,
Okay,
and they're
that's probably what
five
I
and
saw.
one in that stretch whenever he scores 10 or more.
Yeah. And I would alongside that, Matt, I would say that we don't win that game without Boogie. I know he didn't stuff the stat sheet. We didn't really expect him to, and I know that Cal said 10 to 15 minutes. I expected him to play more than that. But he just there were if he didn't play and we had to rely on Billy in his first tournament game, he was very visibly kind of not out of sorts, but playing a little more not even scared, just a little more out of control than what we've seen these past couple
Hyped up,
months.
right? Like it's
Yeah,
anxiety. It's
yeah.
natural, but
You
yeah.
expect it out of a freshman, out of a young guy. I say that, but then here I am saying Boogie, who is another freshman but plays much older than what he is. I think if we don't have him coming in and locking down defensively, he was great defensively that game. And like I said, even though he didn't stuff the stat sheet, he was a difference maker. If we don't have him, we're relying on Billy and Big Z, who played 4 minutes, didn't contribute anything. We're relying virtually on six guys.
Zero
So
zero turnovers in 24 minutes for a guy coming back from injury. 3 steals, 3 assists. He didn't have to score a lot. He was still kind of, I mean, as expected, right? He had an injury to his shooting thumb, went 2 of 7 from the field. Wasn't an efficient score, but not turning the ball over, not playing scared, just being another body. And a huge part of it, like you said, Joey, the foul trouble. Like we had to go small a lot, and like we would have had to have played Billy 30 plus minutes in that game because of foul trouble if Boogie wasn't available for that game. So
Yeah,
there
and
was. Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, talking about not being scared, the amount of times I was sitting there about to go to war for him because him getting knocked down or diving for a ball and somebody falling on top of him, I was like, please
the
don't get hurt.
non-call on his layup attempt where the dude tackled him. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Oh my
yeah.
God.
And there, I mean, speaking to the small ball lineup, there was a time where we had Adu was our biggest guy, and then our next biggest guy was Knox. Knox was playing our four
Four.
spot, and
There was
then
a
we
time
had
when Billy was playing the four, which is even
yeah,
smaller.
yeah. So yeah, just crazy. It was like a lineup of Wagner, Boogie, Nelly, uh, Billy, and Adu.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope to not have to see that lineup very often, but they did well. They played it
Yeah,
well, especially against a team like Kansas because you have a guy in KJ Adams, which, by the way, prayers up to KJ Adams. That did not look like a good injury at the end of that
yeah.
game. I've really enjoyed watching him play recently. He's just that like energy, athletic guy that is fun to watch. So I hope that it wasn't as bad as it looked, but it did not look like a good injury. But still, you have a guy like KJ Adams playing the four spot for them, who's 6'7" and plays a hell of a lot bigger than that because he's so athletic, because his arms are so long, and having Billy and Knox be able to come in and they even played Badunga and Dickinson side by side for a little while, trying to counteract our lineup and being able to hang with that. Being forced to go small ball, I think it was huge for the team. That's impressive that they came out of those minutes alive, honestly.
Our downfall, and it has been all season. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in our preseason, is how we play against the zone. If you're going to go small ball, you have to play well against the zone, and we are being fully exposed. I guarantee Pitino knows what we're going to do. Like, I mean, he knows basketball just as well as Cal does. So I mean, teams are seeing that we went what was it, 5 straight minutes, 6 straight minutes without scoring against the zone. They're going to come out in a zone defense and they're going to punch us in the mouth if we don't learn how to attack it. And that's not just throwing the ball around to our three guys, settling for an open three, because we're not hitting our open threes. We have to attack it. We have to hit that high post area. We've got to get it to our bigs. We've just got to find a way to get in those creases and attack rather than just moving the ball, because we're not whipping it around fast enough to get the defense out of position. So we're going to have to take a couple dribbles, attack a little bit, kick it out. We've got to get some sort of movement, because that's going to be what kills us. We would have won the game against Kansas by 10 or more had we figured out how to attack that zone defense.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very crucial if St. John's does go into a zone, which I think I saw somebody tweet that he has not played zone in like 30 years, but it would be against us
Get ready
that they
for
do.
it.
But I mean, it's hard to rebound in a zone. Like the assignments are a lot worse as far as trying to box somebody out, which with them being such a I feel like such a good rebounding team could be very beneficial to us, especially with us having a couple inches on them in the post. So go zone, that's fine, but let's figure out how to play it within 24 hours, you know? So,
A quote from Cal after the game, he talked about the zone a little bit. Obviously, I mean, it was a huge focal point. That's when the game turned, when Arkansas started losing their lead. Cal talked about how the guy he likes to have in the middle of the zone is a do Thero, and obviously wasn't available. And so he said he tried to put Brazil there, he tried to put Adu there, tried a few different looks, and didn't really like what any of them gave him. I think a guy that could benefit there if Thero is out is Big Z. I think Z gives you a radius to throw the ball into him. You don't have to squeeze in a bounce pass. You can throw it over the top to him. He can turn around and hit the jump shot. It's not perfect because Z, I think, struggles a little bit with ball security. If a guard digs in, I think they could definitely poke it away from him. But I think of the options available, I'm okay with Big Z trying that post spot, especially when we go double bigs with Z and Brazil or Z and Adu. Let the other guy be down low on the baseline and let Z see if he can make a couple jump shots there in the high post. Just make it, give it a threat. And even if that's the case, you can pick and pop. Like you can run screens out of the zone, let him be there, swing the ball a few times, set a screen for DJ, and then Z pops out to the perimeter. Now you've got three shooters with DJ coming off the screen on the perimeter. You know what I mean? Like there are options with Z playing the zone there. Um,
And
but to that, oh, go ahead.
well, and we saw it work once. We need to get back behind the zone. We saw the perfect play that Cal drew up, where we had that wide open lob to Brazil off the backside of the zone because people were falling asleep. The thing is, Brazil, Wagner, Boogie, whoever's operating in that sort of scenario has to have the vision to see that, like see the defender not paying attention, see the defender look the other way and make the read and go, just react. And that's been a problem that we've talked about all year, is just reacting rather than thinking about everything.
Yeah, and so to the point of St. John's probably understands how much we struggle with the zone. One thing I want to point out about their defense is that I don't think they do play a lot of zone, but it's because they are such a cohesive defensive unit. I've only watched a few St. John's games this year, but it was enough to see like out of their man-to-man set, out of their man-to-man defense, they are so good at switching screens, helping, rotating. Like their scramble defense almost gives you the benefits of a zone, right? Like you run zone to clog the paint, to limit dribble penetration. You always have two guys there whenever someone tries to drive. Like those are kind of the benefits of having a zone. But I think that they're so good at their man-to-man defense that they almost don't have to run a zone to beat it. But I don't know that they've faced a team like Arkansas either, with how quick our guards are, with how athletic we are as a team. Pitino himself said in an interview after their first round win, he told his team, "You have not seen a team like Arkansas yet. You have not seen a team as good as them defensively, as athletic as they are, the size they have at every position." Um, maybe give me a little vote of confidence thinking that Pitino is thinking about Arkansas that way, but I see how good St. John's defense is. Arkansas has to step up and match it defensively because I like their offense is going to struggle at times. We've even in the game against Kansas, we went on a stretch without scoring. A lot of it was because of the zone, right? We were trying to figure out how to deal with it. I think it's just going to be St. John's defense is just going to give us fits at times, and you have to survive that storm and limit them on the other side of the ball too, because they're not a great offensive team. They hit a lot of shots in their first round win, a season high 3-pointers for them in their win over Omaha. But before that, they were averaging like 5 3-pointers made per game over their last like 6 or 7 games. Like they are not an elite offensive team. They do enough and they just stifle the hell out of whoever they play on defense. Um, but yeah, that defense, it looks scary. It's honestly fun to watch whenever you're not playing against it.
Yeah, it really is. They have you seen the drills where they put bands on everybody's waist and like they move the defense
Mm.
as one unit? That's how
Yeah.
they move, like identically. It is amazing. It's just
It's like the episode of Ted Lasso where they use the strings so they all move in unison and they know where each other are. It's my favorite episode.
exactly, and it's just crazy. It's mind blowing to me. It's beautiful, really. I mean, he does a good job coaching them. So, but
Yeah.
let's kick their butts. That's all I want.
Some uh some quick stats about St. John's. Like I said, they have not faced a team ranked as highly as Arkansas is defensively. They've played 4 games against teams currently ranked in the top 25 defensively. 3 of those 4 games came against Marquette, all against the same team. So they won all 4 of those games, but Arkansas ranked number 18 right now defensively, is the highest defense, the best defense that St. John's will have seen all season. Like I said, they had a career or a season high in 3-pointers in their last game. I don't think that's sustainable. Hopefully, it's not a multi-game heater. I think our defense is good enough to not allow that to happen. So I'm not super concerned about them just like catching fire, right? Like I believe in our defense enough. It's more about can our offense keep up enough. The bigger concern, one of the biggest concerns I have, Zuby Ejiofor, their big man, the 6'9" guy I was talking about, currently the number 1 offensive rebounder in the country in terms of offensive rebounds per game. The Hogs have gotten a lot better lately over the last few weeks about not letting rebounds kill them, take them out of games. They still get out rebounded sometimes, but they've gotten a lot better at not allowing multiple offensive rebounds, at not letting multiple like too many second chance points stall their drives, or their runs and things like that. But this guy, I think, is still can attack a weakness that Arkansas has in attacking the offensive glass. St. John's as a whole gets a lot of offensive rebounds, but this guy specifically gets like over 4 a game. So that's definitely like it's got to be high up on the game plan on the scouting report. Rebound as a team. Do not let them get second chance points because they're not an efficient shooting team. You hold them to one shot and one shot only, you're in a great spot, in my opinion. Um, Cal and Pitino have played each other 4 times in the NCAA tournament, a few more times outside of it, but they are exactly 2-2 against each other in the NCAA tournament. So if that's not, if there's not enough storylines going on, this is, a tiebreaker game. Who knows if they'll ever see each other again in the NCAA tournament? They're both at the ends of their careers. So big storyline for that. Currently, ESPN and Ken Palm both have St. John's as an 80% chance or better to win. And even in some of the games that Arkansas has won this year, I believe they were, I think it was 77% chance that Kentucky had to win, and the same against, I think it was like 70% chance against Texas when we went on the road to Texas. I know there were 3 games this year where it was 70+%, including Kansas. Kansas was 70% chance to win, and Arkansas won all those games, but they have not won a game yet this year where it was the other team was an 80% like favorite. So definitely the toughest game on the roster to date, or on the roster, on the schedule to date, I think, and that says a lot with how brutal the SEC slate has been. One more big point to talk about. Calipari mentioned, and there's a report that came out from John Rothstein, Adu Thero might, quote unquote, might play on Saturday if he is able to get a full practice in on Friday. The team posted pictures on their Twitter on Friday. Adu Thero was in a practice jersey with the guys on the court. I don't know in what capacity, but he was definitely out there. Cal is still kind of wishy-washy of like, oh yeah, he tried, like he practiced, we'll see. Um, but it seems like it's a possibility that Thero is going to try to push and play in this game. And it's interesting to me because like Boogie came back and Cal said maybe you play 10, maybe you play 15 minutes. We don't want to ruin what's going on. Boogie was forced into a lot of minutes, somewhat due to foul trouble, somewhat due to inexperience of other guys. We needed that leadership on the court. But Boogie's injury was his thumb. And we talked about it on the last pod that he never really had to stop conditioning. He can run, he can jump, he can train. It was just shooting, really. I mean, he can still defend, he can pass, like he can do all of this stuff that still make him a capable player. And he did, right? He went 2 of 7 from the field. Not a great shooting performance, but he did everything else good. Firo is a lower body, reportedly a knee injury. And the things that make Firo special are his aggressiveness, his athleticism, his ability to rebound, his ability to defend, his explosive, like all of these things I think are affected so much more by the knee than anything Boogie does is affected by his thumb. So, what are y'all's thoughts on Thero potentially coming back in this game, on maybe limiting his minutes? What kind of player is he going to be coming back from this injury in the first game? Like, what does this look like in a return if he is able to suit up?
Yeah, so I'm a nerd out, but
A resident doctor on board.
so whenever you hyperextend your knee, right, you got ligament damage. Most likely, since he's even in conversation to come back, it's what's called a grade 2 sprain, which is partial damage to those ligaments. Okay, so the minimum really is 4 weeks for that. Like that's like, all right, you're at 4 weeks, you can probably start going on with everyday activities and not be at risk. Basketball, on the other hand, is not an everyday activity. So he's still going to be nursing the injury. It's way different than Boogie's. Boogie's was repaired, surgically repaired. Thero's is not. I mean, it's still naturally healing. And that can take another 4 more weeks to be ready to play basketball again, in terms of not risking re-injury. So if he goes out, he's risking it. And that's how it is. And don't know what the scans say. He could be perfectly clear, but he has to be limited, like action wise, not just minute wise, action wise. He can't just go out and dunk on somebody or jump up and get a rebound. Not saying he won't, because if anybody's been in a position where they've been injured and they want to play, they're going to try to keep playing and do exactly what they've been doing. If he plays, it's going to have to be way more restricted than Boogie was, 100%. They're going to have to run sets without him being even the focal point of any of them.
And to that point, Matt, my biggest concern is him not taking it easy. He's the type of guy that's going to go full speed all 100%. The time. And I think they said it best right before the Alabama game. We saw that Grant Nelson, he's kind of nursing an injury. And if a college kid is hurt, they're going to do everything in their power to play. It's up to the coach to take a stand and be like, no, listen, this isn't best for you. This isn't best for your future career. This is best for the team. So I'm really going to look to, if he does play, I'm going to look to Cal and kind of see if Cal like puts him to the bench if he sees that he's overexerting himself, or he's really got to be that guy to, which we know how much Cal cares about his kids. I don't think he's going to let Thero go out and do anything that's going to jeopardize his future career, because he's a lottery pick at this point. Mm-hmm. So I don't want Thero to come out and say, no, I'm good, and hide his injury and do all these crazy things that he thinks he can do, and then tear his ACL or, tear something, do something that's more long-term than what this is, when he could just miss this game, miss another game, like maybe not come back for the tournament, and let that heal and set himself up for future success in his career. As much as I love the Razorbacks and as much as I want us to win, I don't want any of that to come at the expense of one of our guys.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, he's at risk of literally tearing it, and that would be surgery. That's season ending. He wouldn't. What do you do at that point? A guy that's about to go to the draft, does he get drafted and go through rehab with people he doesn't know? Does he come back and then go through rehab with our guys? But still, you don't want to see somebody go through surgery at all. And and it's just, he's very, very high risk for re-injuring that. I don't know the extent. We didn't even hear, other than hyperextension, what it was. All you can determine is, okay, hyperextension, most common things, ACL, PCL. If there was rumor of a surgery, one of those ligaments is most likely torn a little bit or enough to warrant them even concerned about surgery. So he's at very high risk. Personally, wouldn't play him. Love to see him, wouldn't play him. But
And Cal keeps his cards close to his chest.
oh yeah.
He doesn't reveal much information. So it could be that it was just a tweak, and Thero's, been practicing. He's, doing a little better, and Cal's just keeping it more under wraps. Maybe he's further along in the process than what has been expressed outwardly.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't know that. Only Thero and Cal know that. But it's just hard. It's hard to read Cal sometimes, like
It's
on
also
the
possible
situation
that
players.
it's also possible that it's the other direction and that Cal is using
Exactly.
this as just a card for this specific game to make Pitino prepare for both situations, right? Like,
Hmm.
oh, Thero could be out here. We don't want you to know what our game plan is, so
Hmm.
you got to prepare for two game plans now. One quote from Cal from Friday right after practice. Uh, Cal said he was out there, Thero was out there. The kid will try to convince me, but you have to be able to go in and help. Quote, I've seen crazier things. Sounds like coach talk. Exactly what I was just saying. It could just be a card to play, but he could be serious. I mean, Thero's a crazy athlete. If it's something, maybe he's recovered faster, like Joey said, maybe he's further along than we even realize. I mean, like anything is possible. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but um, I think having another body out there is obviously good from a basketball standpoint, but it all has to depend on his health. I don't think that it's. I think Matt's right. I don't think it's worth it. I think the 8 guys that we do have available are enough to give us a chance in this game to win. And I don't think that Thero is far enough along to be that like a true difference maker. At best, he's a ninth man that can give us 8 minutes of, half of what he is as a player. So those are just my thoughts on it. Um, Before we go, last question. Is Arkansas still dancing after Saturday? Are they winning this game against St. John's?
Yes.
Going to the
They
Sweet 16?
they put us in a coffin, but they forgot the nails. Sweet 16, here we come.
There
I
we
love
go.
it. I love it. I predicted a win too. I got it on my article. It's already live. Go check it out at bestofarkansassports.com. You can quote me there. I've got a score prediction, everything there. I'm very nervous about this game. Like I didn't even let myself get nervous about the Kansas game because I didn't want to have expectations and be let down. But then about 30 seconds in, it hit and it has not gone away since.
Arkansas,
But
or the March is just a little bit more mad with Arkansas in it. So we gotta keep dancing.
I'm holding true to my pre-tournament prediction of
you
Arkansas
said
gets to the Sweet 16.
you said Sweet 16 like last week. Yeah, I remember. You did. All right. That game is set to tip off Saturday at 1:40 p.m. Central Time. I really hope that they keep dancing. It would be so much fun to go back to the Sweet 16, especially in Cal's first season after all the stuff that this team has been through. Like they deserve to keep going and winning. They've been through so much with injuries and trying to put it all together. Regardless, it's been really fun to watch the last couple of months. It was a really hard watch in January, but this team has been a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to cover. I
It's
really
hard
hope we're
not
not
to
done yet.
it's hard not to be proud of this group of guys.
It
They've
is.
just battled their butts off all season.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have to talk about today. Hopefully, the Hawks can pull off one more win, surprise everyone, surprise the world. I'm nervous about it, still up in the air about it. Quick reminder, we are brought to you by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. You can find us on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, leave a review, whatever it is you do on those sites. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate you tuning in to talk some Razorback hoops with us. I've been your host, Brandon Baker, joined by Joey Jackson and Matt Jackson. And as always, go Hogs.
See y'all in the Sweet 16.
We'll be.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 as we all get ready for the best month of the year, March madness. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD150 and you will get $150 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's the best part. All you need to do is deposit and bet $5 of your hard-earned money. This is how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD150. That's FIELD150. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $150 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD150 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available in one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in Philly or New York, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create a new account in each state. It's easy, it's simple, and it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the conference tournaments and for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boost, and my personal favorite, a nice little parlay boost here and there. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Big news, guys. I am thrilled to announce that we have partnered with Autograph, a company founded by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. The Autograph fandom app gives you access to the best college hoops content, fan contests, and exclusive rewards like discounted tickets, all for doing the things that diehard fans like you already do, following your favorite team in the news and listening to podcasts just like this one. When Tom, and yes, I am calling him Tom, we're on a first name basis these days, co-founded Autograph, he had one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. It works like this. You get all of your college hoops content you want in one place. You get articles from your favorite writers, pods from your favorite hosts, contests from your favorite creators, all on the feeds and the sites that you already enjoy. But instead of having to go to all these different places, it all comes to you in one spot, the Autograph fandom app. But here's the best part. The more content that you consume, the higher you rank in the app. As you consider the level up in status on the app, you can unlock unique rewards curated exclusively for you. So download the free Autograph app in the App Store and use the referral code F68, that's F68, or tap in at the link in the description below or in the podcast app of your choosing to start earning points for doing so.